Hey folks, I'm back just like I promised. So today we are going to dive into the Cypress with Playwright MCP setup. I hope that you found it exciting from the last video. So I'll walk you through how I created those custom agents, aka chat modes, right inside VS Code, and how you can prompt them to generate clean Cypress tests. So just a recap from the last video, we set up a Cypress framework using my Cypress Bootstrap package and then prompted using the Test Explorer agent, which used the source demo site, go through it, find the user flows, then identify the test cases that we have to automate, and also gathered all the elements using Playwright MCP. And afterwards, we used test generator agent to generate Cypress test cases, specially which followed our exact implementation patterns in the Cypress Bootstrap framework. So we were able to use the generated code straight away, which was actually scalable and maintainable code. All right, so let's jump back in from scratch. And to do that, we'll first start install the Cypress Bootstrap package and then move forward. So it's a clean folder here, and I will just start a new terminal. I'll initiate a project here, and yes, I can see the package.json. I'll install my Cypress Bootstrap package. If I just simply explain what it is, it will install or set up a Cypress framework, a full Cypress framework with best practices and page object model already implemented. And also this will install or set up the framework with sample test cases, which you can use to study those test case implementation patterns, because I used to follow a specific uh, framework structure and a specific way of implementing test cases and page objects, blah, blah, blah. And I follow those implementation patterns because, according to my perspective, that suits best with Cypress, and it's easy for you to maintain and scale it whenever you want. Um, I have explained about this framework structure and everything in my Medium articles, so you can just go through my articles from Medium. Also, you can see those links in LinkedIn profile. So feel free to read and learn uh, why I do the way I do. Okay, so let's install the package. Okay, the package is now in package.json, but you need to set up the folder structure and everything. To do that automatically, you can just run npx cypress bootstrap setup. Okay, now it will uh, copy the folder structure and all the required stuff in this package. And also it installs the dependencies that are required for this framework. And yep, okay, so now it's all ready. I can see there's a Cypress folder, and I used to store my tests under tests folder. Then I have UI tests, API tests, test base. I have pages here. Yeah, so let's first try if this works. So this is my plugin I developed for VS Code. There is also one for JetBrains IDEs. It's SciJet plugin. Under MISC, I'll just click on Open Cypress GUI. So it will open the Cypress GUI with a single click on this directory. I'll open with Electron and let's see if the tests are working so that we can make sure the framework is properly set up. Yep, it's running and passing, so it means framework is okay. Everything is fine. Right. So now we need to set up the agents and stuff. So let's go through the agents and instructions and all those stuff. So the project is here and all the magic happens through these agents. We call it custom agents or also known as chat modes in VS Code. So these three custom agents came up from what I have defined under the .github folder in this directory. So I will explain you how I made those and how you can make these things. But I will share this code base with you, and I'm also planning to include this .github folder in my Cypress Bootstrap next version, which will be coming soon, hopefully within next 2 days. So you can grab it from there. And also, if you don't want to follow this Cypress Bootstrap framework architecture, then of course I will tell you how to generate these Copilot instructions and these custom agents. But the main thing is like I have like refined these agents and the instructions specifically for this architecture. So that's why it's actually generating the codes exactly in the implementation pattern I have in this framework. Okay, so under .github folder, I have chat modes folder, instructions folder, prompts folder, and then I have Copilot instructions.md file in the root of GitHub folder. Right, I'll explain you all these things now. So chat modes, also known as custom agents. So if you define any MD file with a specific set of instructions, that will be taken as a custom agent here, where you can pick the custom agent. Also, if you want to create something, a new one, you can also try like this. You can click on, I'll go back and show you configure modes, and then you can click on this create new chat mode file, and it will generate a new MD file under the chat modes folder, and then you can define whatever you want. Okay, I'll go through the Test Explorer chat mode first. So Test Explorer chat mode is specifically made and instructed to explore a given URL. Let's say, for example, we use here the sourcedemo.com. So if you provide a URL by selecting this chat mode or the custom agent, and then this Test Explorer chat mode.md file explains the AI agent to how you have to do this task. You have to go through the site, you have to understand the user flows, just click here and there. All those instructions are in this file. So it will specifically follow the instructions you have given in this chat mode. So in this case, I'm using the tools, the basic or the built-in tools, and also I'm using the Playwright MCP to do this exploration. And I have mentioned the model to use as Cloud Sonnet 4. And if you want, you can change it to anything you like. There are a lot of more other models you can use with VS Code and GitHub Copilot here. And you can then say the instructions. So you can see that in this test explorer mode, I'm specifically saying explore target site with Playwright MCP and in headed mode. Because if you do not mention this headed mode, of course, it will do the same task, but you won't be able to graphically see what it's doing using a browser. But if you have this headed mode mentioned, you can see the Playwright MCP is opening the Chrome browser, you can see the Chrome browser, and then you can see what it is doing, like logging in, putting up an item to the cart and everything. But also you can have it in headless mode as well, but still it will do the same thing. But for me, I thought like it would be nice to see what it's actually doing. So I used headed mode. Then I'm instructing this chat mode to open target URLs and exercise 3 to 5 core flows and record instructions. And this is really important. You have to draft the selectors. And I'm also saying that prefer the data test attributes or IDs or semantic role or stable class. So you can, if you know what attributes you have, like for example, in some projects you might be using data QA or data CY, then you can just set this to data CY, for example. So it will give the priority to locate elements using that attribute. So it'll be precise when it generates the test cases going forward. Okay, then for each flow, I'm saying like capture ID name, precondition, steps, and everything because I'm also logging all the test cases that we need to automate, and I am logging those everything in files so that the next custom agent can make use of it. Then also explicitly I'm saying close browser context once you have done, and here the third part, output contract. It's important that whatever that we come across in exploring, we need to save those things to be used by the next agent. If we just save it as files and then instruct the next agent to find those things in that specific directory, then there won't be any hallucinations. It will be easier and it will be less inefficient when it generates the test cases. So that's why I'm specifically saying create test cases.json under artifacts folder. If there is no artifacts folder, it will automatically create it and create the test cases.json and log all the test cases in the given output format like this. And also I'm telling it to log all the locators that are needed to automate these test cases. Yeah, so then I have some guardrails stated. Do not proceed to test generation. This mode only explores and writes artifacts test cases JSON, and prefer stable attributes, avoid brittle XPaths, always close browser context at the end, and follow instructions in this. Okay, so then so you can see like I have mentioned and defined a lot of instructions here, but still I have done more in detail explanations on what you need to follow under some instructions.md files. So this is the chat modes.md file, but there is something also called instructions.md file, which relies on this folder. So if I go to this test explorer.instructions.md, you can see a bit more explained kind of instructions. So in this file, you don't need to mention any tools or anything. It's just purely some instructions. So it says navigate to provided URLs in Playwright MCP server, and you have to mention this in chat modes and in instructions, because if not, sometimes the AI agent tries to just predict these scenarios are there and these element locators might be there, something like that. So if you just say use Playwright MCP server, it always opens the browser, goes through the site, and identifies the test cases and the locators. It's kind of, maybe you might think as duplicates, but there are some missing stuff that uh, we don't have in the chatmodes.md file. Okay, right. So that's about the test explorer, custom agent, and instructions. And before we go on to the next agent and instructions, let's try this out. So you can click on this drop down button, and then you can select the test explorer from here. And I will say explore this site and implement some Cypress tests. Okay, I will say like this. Let's explore this site and identify test cases to automate using Cypress. Okay, I'm gonna hit enter, and now it will start its task, and it's reading the files that I had mentioned in the custom chat mode file. And now it created an artifacts folder, and now it's opening the Chrome browser using Playwright MCP, and it started working on identifying the test cases. And while going through and exploring, it also records all the main element locators that it needs to automate the test cases in the future work. Okay, okay, I'll just click on OK here. It doesn't matter even if it stays there, it won't interrupt the MCP's work, but I just close it down so you can see. Okay, so now it's working on. Let's let it be and continue on the rest of the things. So I'll explain this Copilot instructions MD file, which is at the root of GitHub folder. So in the next agent, the custom agent that we are using, which is the test generator, I have given instruction and fed the information about this folder structure or this Cypress framework architecture in detail. if you do not give this architectural details to the agent, it will just create the test cases and page objects, and it might not even create page objects if it's not instructed to do so. It will just create a raw code. Like you can see a lot of videos going on here and there, generating test cases and even generating code for applications. But in my terms, it's just a raw code. You have inline locators, and there is no specific abstraction to make the code scalable going forward or to maintain it easily. So the difference is that if you instruct it the implementation patterns that you expect to see from it, then it will generate the code the exact way you want it to. So that's why these instructions and custom agents are important in generating test cases or any other code for an application. So, as I always say, the foundation is the most important part to build test cases of an application. So we should set the foundation properly to capitalize on it using an AI agent. So in Cypress test automation, you should have a proper Cypress framework. I mean, not just the built-in way that it comes in, because if you are following, for example, let's say page object model, then you should set the folder structure accordingly, and you have to structure it properly so that you abstract the different layers in your framework. If you do not do this, then of course the code that will be generated is also going to be messy. It's also going to be not scalable and maintainable going forward. So that's why I'm using this specific framework architecture which have proper folder structuring, and then these AI agents know where to put this and where to put that. And in this instructions file, I am specifically mentioning in access, I would say, uh, where to set these things up. So then the number of hallucinations that's happening will be much less compared to you just blindly prompting. Okay. Um, let's say then, okay, hold on. Something is going on. Network error. Okay, so it has come across a network error. Uh, okay, I don't have any firewall rules, but yes, I have seen this happening a couple of times. So I'll just ask it to try again. Okay, so it's working. Right, let's get back. Um, so, like I said, if you have a proper uh, framework architecture, when you prompt on your AI agent, it might on its own understand the architecture and put the things where they need to be as well. But still, I would say use a custom agent or instructions file to specifically state those things to the AI agent. And then the next point I wanted to uh, raise up is that um, let's say you are not following this Cypress Bootstrap architecture, but you are doing something totally different, right? Even then, uh, you can generate this instructions MD file. Okay, so I will explain you how to create this Copilot instructions.md file. Um, I also have used it here in the instructions folder as Cypress Framework Guide. I have put this MD file in both these places because I noticed some behavior in this GitHub Copilot is that even though I have referenced this Cypress Framework Guide.instructions.md file in the test generator chat mode, sometimes it tend to neglect it, and then but it's not always. It happens rarely, but even rarely it happens. So I tried setting up the same thing in the root folder, just like I have done, and it seems to be a bit consistent with that way. So if you're not following this folder structure in Cypress Bootstrap, you have a different architecture, different project structure, then fine. You can still generate this file easily using the GitHub Copilot on VS Code. And if I am correct, it's also possible to do the same in Cursor IDE. So in the chat, you can head over to this settings icon, and if you click on that, you can see there is something called generate agent instructions. So if you click on this, the Copilot agent will go through the whole project structure and the files, and it will identify the framework architecture and also the any any of the code implementation patterns and stuff, and it will create these instructions file. I'm not going to click it because I already have it there. So it will generate it for you when you click on it. But there's something to note, which is in my case, the chat modes and instructions and prompts, I created them on my own, but I also referred other people's chat mode files and instructions and prompts to have a better understanding. Then I created my own chat modes and instructions. But like for the Cypress Framework Guide.instructions.md and the Copilot instructions.md, those two files I used this way to generate agent instructions, and then I refined it a lot because even though this generates a pretty comprehensive instructions file, but it will still miss a lot of things that you have in your head because you know the architecture of your Cypress or whatever the framework better. And you know when an agent is generating the code, you have some things in your mind that, okay, this should for sure follow these rules and implement the code in this pattern, in your pattern. So if those specific rules are missing, add them to your instructions file. I had to update a lot because I had a lot of things. I wanted it perfectly in that way. So, um, okay, so that's about creating the instructions.md file. That would be not a hassle for you. But if you are using the Cypress Bootstrap to set up your Cypress framework, then no worries. I will push this .github folder in a GitHub repo, and I will share it with you all. And also from the next version, 2.0.2, if I'm correct, the Cypress Bootstrap package, you will receive this GitHub folder whenever you install. Okay, then let's move to the next agent. Oh, before that, let's go through the last task. So it has identified 21 comprehensive test cases by the Test Explorer agent, and also it has created this cases.json and locators.json. if we quickly go through it, the locators.json file have all main locators that we need to automate these test cases using Cypress, and it has identified multiple ways to identify it, like data test attribute, ID, name, placeholders, and blah blah blah. So perfect. Then the test cases.json file have the test cases it identified while exploring the site, and it has perfectly logged everything in the format that I asked it to log the test cases. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the other chat mode, which is the test generator. So this is also kind of the same uh, structure in the MD file, like the test explorer chat mode file. So I'm using the basic tools and the Playwright MCP here as well. And the model I have stated as Cloud Sonnet 4. And I have specifically asked in this agent to refer the artifacts slash test cases.json file to identify the test cases that you need to automate. And then I have also mentioned that validate the selectors with Playwright MCP first, then generate Cypress tests. Okay, this is important because by any chance, if the previous agent predicted a locator, then you will have a failing test case. But by asking it to validate those locators before generating Cypress tests, it will go through the test cases that it identified in the previous agent using Playwright MCP and revalidate the selectors. Then if there is any issues, it will update before generating the tests. Okay, then I have defined a workflow and I have mentioned in caps mandatory strict order. Okay, ingest test cases from testcases.json file, treat it as the canonical scope, and if the file is missing or empty, stop and ask to run test explorer mode. Okay, that's it. Then validate each case with Playwright MCP, and I have asked it to validate the locators and stuff. Then generate the Cypress test cases in TypeScript because I'm using TypeScript. And then also I'm asking to follow the Cypress framework guide.instructions.md, which is the same as Copilot instructions.md. Then also I have asked how to name the files and the structure, where to put UI and API test cases, and add light A11Y checks where applicable. That's not the main scope here, so that's why I have added it as light. Okay. Then I'm asking it to execute and refine the test cases, and I'm explicitly asking it to run using the Chrome browser, and then also I have given some more instructions here. Then complete criteria. I have mentioned all selectors are playwright verified and stored in locators, code lines with the framework guide, form boundaries, naming, TypeScript best practices, etc. Then in the guardrails, I have asked it specifically never guess a selector. If missing, invalid, re-explore with Playwright MCP. This is really important. If you want to have some test cases generated which are actually running and passing, this is mandatory. Then there are a few other things. When I write test cases, I believe the assertions and the interactions with the page should be on the test case file, because whenever someone is looking at your test case file, then it's perfectly visible what's happening. So I don't like in traditional page object classes to wrap each and every single interaction with the page with another method. So that's why I have asked, do not add click type helper methods to page objects. But what I'm doing is like if there are any set of actions, a set of actions that are repeating over and over again in test cases, then I create a method in the page object class and wrap it with a method with a proper name, and I use it in the test case script. But it's only if it is iterating over and over again and it's a complex set of actions, not a single action. And then we have it. So now we have everything, and now I can just go to test generator and just say, let's generate the Cypress test cases based on the previous outcomes. Oh, you can just say, let's generate Cypress test cases. That's it. And enter. Now, it will go through the artifacts folder and identify the test cases, and the locators are there. So it will perfectly generate the code just as I showed you in the previous video. In most cases, I can't say a percentage because I don't know, sometimes the AI agents are not consistent, but in most of the cases, this will do a pretty good job, and you won't have to do a lot of refactoring to the code that has been generated. But always, always, please do review the generated code. It won't take much time. Using AI is like speeding up your tasks, not completely delegating your tasks to a AI agent. And of course, just reviewing some generated code does not take that much of time instead of like you working on it on your own and then reviewing again. Even if you wrote the code, you have to review it, right? Because or else you just push it to someone to review the code. It's kind of the same thing. You're just reviewing a generated code. It won't take much time. So please do review the code, and I think you're on a pretty good place to speed up your day-to-day tasks with the AI agents. Well, keeping that in mind, last but not least, I also have created another custom agent, aka chat mode, which is the test result analyzer. So when this previous agent test generator creates the test cases and then executes them, and then you can use this test analyzer agent to have kind of an AI feedback on the test results. So that's why we have this agent. So typically this agent I'm asking is to do analyze test execution results and provide intelligent failure analysis with actionable bug insights. So it's following again instructions set that I have put up on this instructions empty file, and it's also analyzing the test results from the reports. That's where it gets actually the test results, and it's generate an actionable bug fixing recommendations. And I have mentioned its core responsibilities, the analysis, how it should do, what kind of reports are there, and on the intelligent failure analysis, what you should mention, and also any bug insights and recommendations. So instead of just showing up um, some exception logs, this will help you to understand properly at a glance what is going wrong, if any test cases are failing, and also some actionable items that you can maybe to identify the bug or the issue with the test cases that have been failing. So it just I also have like put up the analysis structure, so it follows this format when it's giving out this report using the AI agent. The it shows the test execution overview, failure classification, bug insights, action items, and also I've also like added the analysis capabilities like smart pattern recognition, visual evidence analysis. Like we have, of course, on failure we have images that are captured by Cypress and video recordings, blah blah blah. Okay, so this generated report will be a MD file, of course, and so you can simply go through it after execution, and then you can understand what's going on. So you can use this custom agent even on your usual non-Cypress Bootstrap automation framework, because it will store the report files in the same place, or if it's different, you can just simply change it here and then ask the custom agent to analyze the report. Then you can have the overview. And also it's the same with the other agents as well. You can manipulate this agent MD file and use it with your own framework. So like I said in how to generate this instructions MD file, the Copilot instructions and the other framework guide instructions, you can come up with your own and then reuse the same agents in your Cypress frameworks. Oh, just if it's not Cypress, in that as well. You will have to then update these files a little bit more because I'm explicitly targeting the Cypress test generation. So that wraps up today's deep dive into Cypress with Playwright MCP and VS Code with GitHub Copilot, and how I've been using it to level up Cypress test generation the way I want without a lot of refactoring. It's still early days for this space, but honestly, the potential is huge with AI, and I can't wait to see where it goes. If you enjoyed this walkthrough, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll explore even more ways to bring AI into our testing workflows. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put a comment below. And also, you can reach me out on LinkedIn, and I'll be super happy to help you with anything with my knowledge. So, peace and happy testing. Thank you for watching.